This is the first of the sheets that I've written to review simplifying radicals. I put two actual skills on the sheet, one you already know. I focused here on the skill of finding the value or evaluating a radical, but I did it only for square roots. You can see that in example number 1, where I asked for the square root of 30 to 3 decimal places, and reminded you that on the calculator the square root of 30 was going to be what I called in the sheet a messy decimal. It's an irrational number, a never-ending decimal with no pattern, which is why I had to ask for the number of decimal places I wanted. Remember that on your math test, although this sheet only focuses on square roots, that I'm going to ask you for roots of all different sizes. As I mentioned in the introduction up here, radicals come in all different sizes. You can have square roots, cube roots, fourth roots, fifth roots, etc. On the math test, you're going to be asked to find roots other than square roots. So remember that you have to press the root you want, then the math key, the number 5, and then the number you want to root, and hit enter. Right now, let's focus really more on skill number 2, which I refer to as simplifying radicals. And here I'm going to focus on the most basic way to simplify a radical. So for those of you who liked fishing, for those of you who liked other more ambitious methods for simplifying, please go right ahead and do them. For those of you who want it to be very, very basic, we're going to focus on the first 3 perfect square roots, which are 4, 9, and 25. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3, the square root of 25 is 5, and most of the trees that you will be asked to make will need those radicals. Here's how it works, making a factor tree. Did you get nauseous then? So did I. I can't even ride a merry-go-round without wanting to throw up. Well, I got the page not to move again, so here we go. We're going to make a factor tree for the square root of 18. And although you can be creative if you want to, creative usually means lose points. So if you don't want to lose points, then I suggest that you consider doing it the way I have it on the sheet. Always start your tree with a perfect square. That's why I don't want to divide the square root of 18 into the square root of 6 times the square root of 3, although it's true that square root 6 times square root 3 on your calculator will give you the exact same decimal as square root 18. However, it's not very helpful. I want to use 9 and 2 because 9 is one of the perfect squares we mentioned above up here that I've now lost because I moved the sheet down. I put the 9 first, I put the 2 second, so that I could cross out the square root of 9 and make it a perfect 3, and now square root of 18 becomes 3 rad 2. You can check on your calculator to see that the square root of 18 is this number, and 3 times the square root of 2 is this number. They are the same number, rad 18 and 3 rad 2, but 3 rad 2 is considered simplified. As I said in the box down here, we're going to begin practicing simplifying radicals with many different types of examples, but in this particular sheet, I wanted to keep it simple, so I made radicals with only one perfect square root, like 18, which uses 9, and 28, which uses 4. Just to make it interesting, however, because I am Flamenhaft, I did include square roots that don't have any simplification at all. You can't simplify the square root of 30 because 30 doesn't have any perfect squares in it. Let's see where that takes us. Just to keep it simple and, dare I say, fun, I made sure that every radical on this page has only one set of branches to its tree, and it's either going to use a 4, a 9, or a 25. You figure out which one has the 4, oops, which one has the 9, yikes, and which one has the 25. Well, I only did 3, you're on your own for the rest. And as I said, being Flamenhaft, there's rad 14, which does split into rad 2 times rad 7, but since neither one of them are perfect, all we're going to say about rad 14 is cannot be simplified. Try the problems on the sheet, and then if you want to, you can look at the answer key, which I included on page 3. Here we are on the bottom of page 3 with the answer key as promised. I don't think there are any mistakes on the answer key, but if you find one, you get your name on the sheet somewhere. So please consider it. This problem number 15 is just Flamenhof being Flamenhof. How can I resist not putting a problem that's a little bit different on my sheet? I told you that this was a rectangle. It may not be the perfect problem to practice for this particular math test, but it's not a bad problem to practice if you're preparing for ACTs or SATs. Remember that I said it was a rectangle, which means that you can make an equation out of the information I gave you. I gave you 3 formulas. You're only going to need 2 of them to set up the problem. See if you can figure it out. If not before the math test, then certainly give it a try after the math test is over. The answer to number 15 is here also. Please let me know if you have any questions. Email me, and I will email you back as promptly as I can. Have fun.